Council meeting for this Monday, June 5th, 2023. Madam Clerk, if you'd please call the roll.
Councilmember Anderson has been excused. Councilmember Bell has been excused. Councilmember Boki. Councilmember Brandstetter.
Here.
Councilmember Lauricella.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Moss has been excused. And Mayor Whalen,
Present.
you have a quorum.
Very good. We're lucky we have a quorum with people out on vacation and such. So it's a pleasure to have you all here tonight, and those of you joining us on Zoom. Again, welcome to the council meeting for this Monday. We always start with a moment of silence or reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag. And on this day, June 6th, I'd like to have us all take a moment and reflect on the contributions of so many who served this great nation during D-Day. This is the 79th anniversary of D-Day, which occurred also on June 6th, but 1944, an earlier year. So we'll stand and pause in reflection, and we'll be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance to the nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you again for joining us. We start our meeting with proclamations and presentations, and the first proclamation and presentation tonight is a proclamation recognizing Juneteenth National Freedom Day. And for this, I'll call on Duke White and Jenny Tobig. Let me get my glasses here and make sure I get the names pronounced correctly. Tubig Gasek and Victoria Vasilev from St. John Episcopal Church to receive the proclamation presented by council through Councilmember Lauricella. So feel free to join him at the dais.
Come on up here.
Hi.
How are you? All right, well, welcome. So I will read this proclamation on behalf of the city. So whereas Juneteenth is the oldest known celebration commemorating the end of slavery in the United States, and whereas historically Juneteenth was widely celebrated in the African-American community as Emancipation Day, commemorating the day in 1865 when a Union Army general arrived in Galveston, Texas, to share the news the Civil War had ended and to announce the enslaved African Americans living there were free. And whereas in recent years, awareness of the significance of this date for our nation's African American and Black communities has become more widespread, resulting in Juneteenth becoming a recognized state and federal holiday. And whereas Juneteenth reminds us of the horrors of our country's past, commemorates African American freedom, acknowledges the resilience and determination of African Americans who have faced injustices in our society, and pays homage to those who paved the road to freedom in America. And whereas Juneteenth is a day to recognize and honor the contributions of African Americans in our city, state, and country. And whereas now is a time to reflect on the progress that must continue to ensure that all have equal access and opportunity to participate fully in our society. And whereas Juneteenth is marked with celebrations, picnics, and family gatherings, and is a time for reflection and rejoicing, assessment, self-improvement, and planning for the future. And whereas people of all races, nationalities, and religions are joining hands to acknowledge a period of our history that shaped and continues to influence our society today, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lakewood City Council does hereby acknowledge June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth National Freedom Day, and urges all residents to become more aware of the significance of this celebration in history and in the heritage of our nation and our city. Proclaimed this 5th day of June, 2023, and signed by our mayor, Jason Whalen. You guys are back there.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. We of St. Joseph St. John Episcopal Church are very honored to be here this evening. Thank you for meeting with us. My name is Jenny Tubik-Gasik. I'm first Filipino generation in Lakewood, Washington. I am the co-bishop, senior warden for St. Joseph St. John, yay. And I'd like to present our two speakers, Duke White and Victoria Vasila. Thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you. Good evening. Oh, can you hear me? Okay, good evening. And thank you to the mayor and city council for inviting us to speak today. My name is Duke White. I'm a retired mental health therapist from private practice. I'm a retired CPS worker for the state of Washington. And I retired from Greater Lakes Mental Health as a therapist many, many years ago. I'm currently a professor at Clover Park Technical College teaching human services courses. I love my classes and I love my students, and I tell them, let's think outside the box. Let's do something unique and different. The generations of stuff that we've all been through is amongst all the community and everybody else, so that's a good thing. I was raised in Lakewood off of Briar Road. I went to Tye Park Elementary, then Woodbrook Junior High, and then transferred to Lockburn Junior High. Great teachers. The principal, Mr. Price, was the outstanding gentleman. And then I graduated from Clover Park High School in I can say it, I may need counseling after this, but 1972. So I've had a great wealth of experience in the world around Lakewood and Tacoma doing outreach and management. I attend St. John's Episcopal Church in Lakewood, located on 1111 Military Road, Southwest Lakewood. I've given the church a nickname, the little church that could, because they're just absolutely wonderful people. I didn't know what to expect when I first entered the church on the day of, but the church members were kind, wonderful, outstanding people. They embraced me and hugs and stuff like that. I felt like everybody was a family member. I felt like I had lost sisters and brothers, and I had gained brothers and sisters from the church and second cousins. They all seemed like family to me. So the reason I gave the nickname for the church, a little church that could, the nickname comes from me observing and watching the congregation and the pastor. Pastor's right there, wave to the crowd. About their determination and commitment to the Lakewood community and the outreach to the community itself. They have every Wednesday free meals, Wednesday dinner for the community at large, and every second and fourth Wednesday, they have a small food pantry that's open to the community, and you get a hot lunch after you do the food bank. How Juneteenth celebration came to fruition at our church. A church member by the name of Victoria went and said something to Jenny, wave Jenny, about why don't we celebrate Juneteenth? And I could hear them both say, why not? So then they couldn't decide what day to actually have it. So then Cece said to all of them, let's have it on the actual day of June 19th. And I could hear them almost in my sleep saying, why not? So then one day at church, Jenny approached me and said, Duke. And Jenny has a way of saying Duke. And I knew there was a question after that. She said, Duke, can you help me with Juneteenth celebration here at the church on June 19th? I said something like, of course, I would love to help. Why not? Attendance is dwindling for many churches around the country, but the little church that could, which is the nickname I gave the church, is constantly thinking outside the box to find ways to increase its community outreach and connections. They want to continue to build their family. So thereby, I'm here this evening to invite the mayor and the city council to our first St. Joseph, St. John Episcopal Church Juneteenth celebration on June 19th from 6 to 8. Yeah. Our Juneteenth celebration includes opening and welcoming remarks, words of appreciation from church elder members, and of course, if anyone from the city council or the mayor show up, we'll acknowledge your presence. And then words of appreciation. Then there's a Juneteenth sermon from Pastor Robert Penton. And for those of you who do know Robert Penton, he's a well-known civil rights advocate here in Tacoma and Pierce County, a scholar. In the 1960s, he was a Black Panther member who went around feeding the elderly and giving food to the community in California. He recently, 2 months ago, was memorialized in the permanent Tacoma Public Library Historical Archives. They made a permanent video of him and everything else. So if you want to know more about Pastor Penton, just Google Tacoma Library. He is a retired local pastor from the African-American community.
For at least 15 years, he was invited to the annual White House prayer breakfast. For 15 years, he always went. And that's an accomplishment from every state to send a pastor, and Pastor Penton was always asked to go. He has spoken at many, many Juneteenth celebrations, too many to name them all. Boys Club, Wrights Park, school counselors, school assemblies rather, Tacoma Dome. And he was created and the executive director of the first outpatient treatment center for African-American males in the 1980s called Alpha House. Then we have a local gospel singer who happens to be married to Pastor Penton. And Marilyn's voice is not as good as Patti LaBelle, but close. So that's how much I respect her. And then there's a reading from one of our Dora, from one of our congregations regarding the Amazing Grace, how the song was started and everything else. Then there's a local singer who will be singing Amazing Grace, like I said earlier. Then I was able to obtain a 12-year-old African-American youth to sing a song from the movie Harriet Tubman, Stand Up. Poetry readings. The Juneteenth congregation will also be singing all together, lift every voice and sing the Black National Anthem. There'll be a closing prayer and acknowledgement of our celebration. Then the Juneteenth congregation will have a musical processional. Light refreshments and coffee will be served. With all that said, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, much appreciation to the mayor and city council member for the opportunity to showcase our Juneteenth celebration. The little church that could would love to collaborate with the city of Lakewood and the city council next year for 2024. Why not? Think outside the box. I tell my students, just think outside the box. Why not us? So with that, it's been my pleasure, and I'll turn over to Victoria.
Thanks for giving us some time this evening. I am Victoria Vasileff, and I'm an attorney and a mental health counselor. I had never been here in my life and always lived in small town Illinois, and I was playing on the internet one night and saw a job here for the state and just kind of as a joke applied for it, and a month later I was here. This is a beautiful, beautiful place, and thank you all for getting it ready for me to enjoy. Juneteenth is celebrated where I work, and I think there are some questions that maybe a lot of people besides me have about Juneteenth. I've always felt a little bit anxious about getting too involved in the celebration at work because I've sort of felt like, am I not really a part of this because I'm not African American? To my knowledge, my history doesn't include being touched by enslavement. And so I've done some talking to folks, and I've really thought about this. And I think it's important for all of us to celebrate Juneteenth and remember what slavery did to our country and to individuals living in America. And to think about what that history, how it still touches us today, and the racism that still lingers in our society, and to work on looking at ourselves for that racism, trying to work to eliminate it to the extent possible, and to create more opportunities for America to really be a place of equality of opportunity for all. So I think Juneteenth is a holiday for everyone, and we're very much hoping that the city of Lakewood and elected officials will be represented, but we're really hoping that the people of Lakewood will join us in this celebration and help us all to remember and look forward at the same time. So thanks very much for letting us speak with you tonight.
Well, thank you all very much. And as what we often do and love to do is to take a group photograph suitable for our own publication on the city website and certainly to provide to your organization and your congregation. So come on up and we'll get a photograph. Yeah, everybody from the church, do come on up. What's this? Oh, great. Thank you very much for coming. Great to see you all. Next, we'll have a proclamation recognizing the month. Absolutely. Recognizing the month of June as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer Pride Month. And for this, I'd have Matthew Wilson and Siggy Frank from the Oasis Youth Center join me at the podium to receive the proclamation. Well, we're pleased during Pride Month on behalf of the entire City Council and staff to present this proclamation. Whereas the City of Lakewood supports the rights of every resident to experience equality and freedom from discrimination. And whereas all people have the right to be treated on the basis of their value as human beings, regardless of age, gender, identity, race, skin color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual origin, or disability. And whereas the City of Lakewood accepts and welcomes people of all backgrounds and believes a diverse population leads to a more vibrant community. And whereas lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ+ communities contribute to the cultural, civic, and economic successes of the city. And whereas as our society learns to embrace evolving definitions of sexuality and gender, we acknowledge how the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. And whereas Pride is a time to recall the trials the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer communities have endured, and to rejoice in the triumphs of trailblazing individuals who have bravely fought and continue to fight for full equality. And whereas Pride is both a jubilant community celebration of visibility and a personal celebration of self-worth and dignity. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this Lakewood City Council does hereby designate the month of June 2023 as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer Pride Month. And we encourage residents to recognize the valuable contributions and achievements of the LGBTQ+ community, to reflect on the ongoing struggle for equality that members of this community face, and to reaffirm our commitment against discrimination and injustice. Proclaim this 5th day of June, 2023, Jason Whalen, Mayor. So on behalf of all of us, your organization, which we support through our funding, through Human Services funding, we thank you for coming tonight. I'll do the handshake and then we'll let you speak and then we'll Kind of odd thing, but feel free to say a few words and we'll take a photograph.
Thank you. We truly appreciate being offered the opportunity to receive the proclamation. For me personally, it's a nice full circle moment. My dad was a service member and we moved to this area as a result of him being stationed at Fort Lewis. And I went to school here at John Dower through fourth grade. And so this community means a lot. And I'm really pleased that, to receive this on behalf of Oasis Youth Center. My name's Matthew, he, him, and I'm the executive director of Oasis Youth Center. And for those of you who don't know, Oasis serves LGBTQ youth that are ages 11 through 24. And through funding through the city of Lakewood, we've been a partner for a long time to best serve our youth, because although our main location is in downtown Tacoma, a lot of Lakewood youth travel to us to receive support and services. One of the things is feelings of isolation, rejection, bullying, all sorts of things. And having a place like Oasis allows people to connect and share experiences, grow, learn, and become better residents of the community. And so not just the proclamation, but the funding also means a lot to us that we can continue to offer those services. There's a lot of tumultuous things going on with LGBTQ youth you hear in the media right now. And by issuing this proclamation, not only are you putting it in the permanent record of your city that you're standing proud and honoring LGBTQ residents, just know that the youth are listening too, and how important it is for them to have adults in the community recognize them and support them. And we're really looking forward. We're going to put this up in our space, get a nice little frame. So we're excited. This is Siggy.
Again, thank you so much for having us. My name is Siggy Frank. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm the Director of Advocacy and Equity at Oasis Youth Center. I'm also the lead for our Lakewood location, located at the backside of St. Mary's Episcopal Church. One of the things that I've found here in Lakewood is that we have really been welcomed as a part of the community. I also do our demographics, so I do all of our grant reporting, including for Lakewood. And our second highest demographic of residents is Lakewood. So it's been really amazing to have a location where they can easily access services, resources, a drop-in center, a place where they can be accepted for who they are. Another reason why I'm so grateful that we're here is transportation has always been the biggest barrier for youth, especially marginalized individuals who are coming from lower income and don't have access to resources. So to be able to have a location here to help serve youth who can't get to us, but desperately need the resources that we offer has been really powerful. And I just really want to thank the community for welcoming us. We had a blast last summer doing all of the out in the park events. And we have really been welcomed by pretty much everyone we've met. I want to give a shout out to Shannon for wanting to be such a wonderful part of our community as well. And I just thank you so much for this proclamation and making this a point here in Lakewood.
Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, Next, we will have and immensely enjoy our youth council report and recognition. So Hank, I think you're gonna present a little bit. Brandon's coming up to help a little bit. So we're gonna play a video of students who interviewed each other about their experiences as members of the youth council during this last year. And they'll tell us, I hope, a little bit about what they learned, their favorite moments and next steps for their lives. And then following that, I'm going to hand out certificates of recognition for all of you who are here tonight. So stay around for a photo op. We're ready for you. Go ahead,
sir.
Hank.
All right, well, good evening, Mayor Whalen and the council. For the last time, my name is Hank Jones, and I'm presenting tonight with my co-chair, Brandon Elliott, and one of our newer members, Caitlin. And I also have quite a few friends in the rows with me. They're the ones in green. This is a little over half of our youth council that has served since September of this year. We have planned together, volunteered together, learned together, and bonded together. I'm so proud to have been part of such a spectacular group, and I'm honored to be receiving recognition alongside them tonight. At tonight's meeting, a little bit earlier this evening, we reflected on our achievements throughout the year and started looking towards the future. I also found myself thinking over my past 4 years on the council and all that I have seen. I remember in particular the year or so when we were entirely virtual. And after that, the struggle of trying to organize in person. And with the 2022 to 2023 school year coming to a close, I think our record membership speaks for itself as a testament to how resilient the spirit of our organization is and how eager Lakewood's youth are to make a difference. I'm so grateful to have been a part of this council again and to present to you all so many times in service of my city's young people. I only wish I could come back for just one more year. Thank you. And at our nightly meeting, we also discussed our game plan for our youth summit, which is coming up soon. And for that, I will hand it over to my co-chair.
Good evening. My name is Brandon Elliott, and I am proud to announce once again that our Youth Summit is coming up on June 10th at the McGavick Center. We hope to see everyone on the council that can make it there. Our MC is Community and Schools own Jordan Jones, and our keynote speaker is Ariasa Wilson. We will also have an ample amount of activities available for the city's youth, including video game vans, food trucks, raffle prizes, and of course, local vendors and resources for the city's youth to build and strengthen connections. We're looking forward to having another amazing youth summit and this year and hopefully exceeding the success of last year. So please save the date. And then I would like to add, since this is my last time presenting as well to City Council in this capacity, I hope to come back one day. Thank you for being a supportive council. You know, it's not often you see in the media or in the news council that's so eager to support their youth and so vocal about it. And as a young African-American man, it really means a lot to me to have a city council that's willing to empower me. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. And thanks for helping me in my support for scholarships as well. And I look forward to seeing some of you at the AWC conference later in the month. And then I'm gonna pass it over to Caitlin, who will be reporting on our police roundtable.
Hi, Council. My name is Caitlin Miller, and I'm here to pronounce the Youth Council Police Roundtable that we had last month. So for our notes, we wrote that our hope for police community relations are less fear, more trust, better communication system resources, less controversy, best impression of youth, improve interactions with minorities, steer away from stereotypes, increase opportunities for reassurance, officer present at school events and social media, more cooperation between community and police. And our personal interactions with police have resulted in the following feelings and opinions. Our race appears to play a role in young adults' comfort level with police. There are obsessions that our race involves us in situations that have nothing to do with us and are not our fault. And being a loud group of teenagers appears to officers uncomfortable in response in a negative way. Our expectations from a law enforcement include treat everyone fairly, be friendly, open-minded, and supportive, practice clear communication, and provide clear information. We see police and youth working together in the following ways. organizing events where you have the opportunity to get to know the officers, sporting events, job shadowing, volunteering opportunities, K-9 unit care training, officers learning important languages within the community. We see policing in our community inside and out of our schools, in the parks, at the mall, and other public areas. We find they contribute to protect safety through stopping fights, addressing threats, and responding to 911 calls. We see their presence supporting or distracting from community well-being in the following ways. Positive ways, such as reassuring in bad situations, positive media patrol, bonding interaction, voluntary duty, and so in a negative way, such as negative influence of media patrol and difficult way to find a common ground. Yeah. Okay. We would like to know if you have any questions for us.
Well, thank you. I'll ask council members, any questions? The youth summit's coming up Saturday, the 10th, right?
Yes. Oh, no, June 10th.
June 10th.
Yes.
Then time, I know we've had it on our calendar, but go ahead and just remind all of us.
It's 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Very good. Well, thank you again for your contributions and presentations tonight. Anything else before I start with the presentations of the certificates? You got the video, don't we?
Also, shout out to Shannon. I think I forgot to talk about her, but she's a rock star.
She
Keep
is.
her around. She's
Yeah.
the greatest. That was it.
But don't we have a video that we're gonna play? First?
It's recording?
Yeah, it's recording.
All right.
Action. Am I breaking the fourth wall?
Girl.
All right, Brandon Elliott. What is your favorite moment in the Lakewood City Youth Council?
My favorite moment from Youth Council, it's kind of hard to choose for me. Honestly, any event. I really enjoyed Truck and Tractor Day. I've always enjoyed facilitating like the slingshot activity and guiding the youth throughout that activity.
My favorite moment in youth council was we had this event we participated in, well, volunteered in, and we had it was a welcome walk, and there was a band playing and we got to East Moores, and I really loved seeing everyone else having a fun time. I think that moment really captured what we do for the city.
What did you take? I think my biggest takeaway is that over the past 4 years, I've learned how to be a better leader. Throughout our monthly meetings and throughout different volunteer events, working with the council, working on city committees, I've had the opportunity to learn how to raise and to hone my voice into a way that I can use it to achieve actionable results. And I've been really proud of that work.
My biggest takeaway, coming out of my shell to help my community can, I guess I'm friends with people that I didn't think I was gonna be friends with.
I think what I learned from Youth Council is that our community has so much to contribute, but it's about us kind of empowering our voices and kind of just learning from each other, I guess, as well. Just being interactive with your community.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm a big communicator now.
How do you plan on using what you've learned in Youth Council in your years to come?
I'm more like I'm a better leader, so if there's like a little issue going on, can help solve it.
Right, like not being a bystander.
Yeah.
How do you work with others in the Youth Council? Do you enjoy it? Is it a struggle? How do you enjoy the environment?
I love everyone in the Youth Council. I think everyone's very, I think everyone has their own amazing personality, and everyone just brings in a little small portion of the pie.
Okay. Okay. All right, well, it's tough to see you go, especially if you're seniors. But we've had a great time together and enjoyed your progress over the last several years. And so this is our brief moment to say thank you for all you've done and best wishes on your future. And it looks like these guys are already getting ready for a photograph. So away we go, I guess. All right. Yeah, they want to shake hands. All right. So we're going to give you the opportunity to come up here, grab your certificate, and then go to the line, as they say, and shake hands with the council members. So Adriana, Vaughn, come on down. She's not here. How about Kara Buckmaster? There she is. There you go, Kara. Join our friends over there. Brandon Elliott. Congratulations, sir. There you go. Okay, Anaya Davis. Not here? All right. So we've got Miguel Gasper Dominguez. Miguel, come on down. Thanks for your service. Fatima Hernandez. Violet Johnson. Good to see you. Congratulations. Hank Jones. What's that? No, not. All right, Ariana Mello. There you be. Thank you. Yeah. We have Caitlin Miller. With Liz. Good job, Caitlin. Good to see that. All right. There you go. There you are. Okay, Anthony Naranjo. Good job. Mayim Remedios. Mayumi Remedios. Thank you. Good to see you. Angel Calderon Ramirez. How are you? Yeah, there we are. Chase Washington. Yes. Good camera work there, my friend. All right. D'Angelo Rodriguez. Are we missing some people? D'Angelo Rodriguez. Okay, and we have some. We have not called. Double check and we'll call, make sure we got them all, because we had some that were for sure showing up, some that were. Selena? Not here? Yeah. Kimberly Estrada? Come on down. There you go, Kimberly. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Kalani Fernandez? No. Chai Hill? Not here. This thing is sliding all over the place. Ali Laska? You're all the way at the end, guys? Cynthia? Chloe? Jocelyn? Jocelyn Valenzuela Mendez. At the end, I was a W. I was always at the end of the alphabet. Leslie, come on down, Leslie Valenzuela Mendoza. There you go. Lexus, not here. Okay, so I think we've got everybody, right? Well, again, congratulations. This is a wonderful opportunity to serve a community, and your voices have been really helpful to us over the years. The committees that you've served on and the contributions you've made have just bettered the city. So we just want to thank you for all that and wish you well. Those of you who are, seniors and moving on, we definitely wish you well. Those of you who are juniors and staying on, even better. So I hope you're going to stay back and stay with us. So let's all gather up. Why don't you direct the show? Okay, everybody smile. Right. 3. All right, good. All right, happy studying, and we'll see you around the block. Director Jacobs, you're next for the Clover Park School District report. Come on down.
Good evening, Mayor Whalen and City Council members. And I'm really sorry that many of them took off because last week we had our senior assemblies, and there are several students that you called out tonight who certainly walked away from senior awards with cords and scarves and lots of scholarship money in their packets. So you had a very exciting group of youth council. And off target again, I remember when there was one youth council member, and I really applaud the city for saying we need to hear all the voice. We need to hear as many voices as possible. So congratulations to the city for opening it up and realizing that our children come from such diverse backgrounds, and we need to hear all of the voices, which I know you've done. This has been a really busy time for the Clover Park School District in that graduation is this week. And so all of the rush of getting everything done and making sure that last paper's turned in and everything is signed off has been a little hectic for our kids, but they have done an outstanding job. This last year, all ceremonies will be live streamed on the district's YouTube channel. And to remove barriers for families, the district is paying for the parking down at the Tacoma Dome so that parking will never be an issue. Parents, family, friends can all attend their children's graduation time without parking costs being a burden to them. Thursday, June 8th is the commencement ceremonies, 4 p.m. for Clover Park, 4 p.m. and then 7 o'clock for Lakes. Friday, June 9th, first there will be Open Doors program, which is our credit retrieval, which helps kids who are maybe a credit or 2 or 3 or 4 away from graduation, go get those credits to become high school graduates. And we really have, it's been shown that sometimes some distraction, some disruption will come in a student's life for reasons unknown. They don't complete high school, the traditional classic high school. Open Doors is that facility and program for them to come back, get their high school diploma, and then go on with their lives. And then we will be having Harrison Prep at 6 p.m. And then that morning we will have a program completion ceremony for the Alpharetta Transition Program House at 9 o'clock. We really do appreciate our wonderful community partners, Kiwanis, Lakewood Rotary, and many private citizens who provided scholarships and awards for our graduates this year. We also, every May, we celebrate Employee of the Year. And this year, we have 1,300 employees. So to have 3 employees come from that pool is pretty incredible. Our certified employee, which consists of bus drivers, the food staff, our clericals, our our custodial services, is Wayne Lott Jr., is Alan Francisco, the chief custodian at Lakes High School. Our certified, which includes all teachers, librarians, counselors in our schools, was awarded to Wayne Lott Jr., the 5th grade teacher at Carter Lake Elementary. And for our administrative award went to Lauren Bolster, assistant principal at the Lakeview Hope Academy. They are our employees of the year. They are submitted, a packet is submitted to the committee who chooses. And for as long as I've served on the board, I don't have any idea who this committee is. That's probably the biggest, best guarded secret for the district. But it's from an independent panel of judges from the community. We are in the last stages of our 23-24 district budget process. We held a workshop on May 24th to share information on the budget process and how the community input through a survey has been incorporated into it. Top priorities shared by all residents include safety, security, smaller class sizes, and resources to the classrooms. A video of the presentation is available on the district's YouTube channel. We certainly invite family and community members to review the budget presentation, provide any additional thoughts to the district to consider it as it prepares for the final proposal for the board review, which will be done. We have to accept the final budget at our July board meeting. The other thing that I'm really, and I said publicly, and I want to reiterate, that due to some, we budget very conservatively with our attendance, which drives our budget, to our final outcomes. I'm very proud to say that we were not in the news, not in the press, for having to lay off teachers due to budget cuts. And so many districts did. And I want to congratulate our budget staff so that we did not have to lay off any teachers due to budget constrictions. We do have our budget retirement stated for June 12th for people who have, many of them have committed an entire career to the district. Many people, others have taken it as a second career or been back, but we will have our retirement community for our public opportunity to say thank you to the staff members who make a difference to our students. It will be held at the high school, at Clover Park High School Gathering Hall at 4:30 with desserts, and then a thank you to each one of them as they get to have their little bio, they have their biography kind of presented, what they're going to do post-retirement. We have this year, the WASA, which is the Washington Association of School Administrators. They have an award ceremony and they award a citizen. And this year, they award a citizen. This year, that award went to Larry Woods for his work serving with several community organizations advocating for education, safety, equity, and youth empowerment. This year, we are awarded to students, 4 students, and I don't believe we've ever done this before. We've awarded to Kara Buckmaster from Clover Park, Lakes High School, Sadiq Smith, Open Door student, D'Angelo Rodriguez, and Harrison Prep School, Shani Peters. And they received them for their student leadership awards. So we are making sure that our students realize that their leadership skills are not going unrecognized and how much we do appreciate them. During our senior awards, last week, Open Doors had theirs Thursday, Lakes had theirs Tuesday, Harrison Prep had theirs Wednesday, Clover Park High School had theirs Thursday. 11 students received the Mike McGowan Educational Incentive Awards from the Lakewood Rotary. Part of that, each student received an award and $1,000 to be used for their pursuit of post-education, postgraduate education. Our football coach from Lakes High School, Dave Miller, received an Excellence in Coaching Award. He recently received the Frosty Westerling Excellence in Coaching Award from the Tacoma Athletic Commission. And we all know, for those of us who have been in Lakewood and in Pierce County for a while, how revered Frosty Westerling was on his inspiring and giving to students. So we know this award is certainly highly coveted. The Frosty Westerling Coaching honors coaches who have been highly successful in the win-loss column, and more importantly, their ability to develop character in their players. And that is what Dave is truly known for. we all know that with football, there's wins and losses, but working with students, developing their character, knowing them, helping them is a part of what Dave does so incredibly well. This last Memorial Day, of course, Clover Park had their Arlington project again, and I know several city council members there. Thank you very much for joining. You know, it never gets old. I think this was our 17th year, and unfortunately, yes, there's a few more sticks every year, but the reality is I know by Monday, there's always, you know, flowers left on the stakes, there's flags, and thank you very much for joining us and participating with, and thank you to Clover Park High School and their students who make sure that this happens on a yearly basis. So school is ending next week, and there will be a 1-week lapse, and then we will be having summer school. And there'll be summer school at 4 elementaries, which is be kind of enrichment programs. And then for the high schools, it will be credit retrieval. So for those kids who may have struggled during a class, they can retrieve that credit during the summer so that they don't get behind and they don't get discouraged and they're able to graduate on time with their classes. We will also be offering free lunch for children 18 years and younger this summer at several district schools. The program is offered for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Summer Food Service Program. Meals will be served on a first come, first served basis and must be eaten at the school. Please go to our website for more information. Kindergarten registration is certainly under fall, and we hope that, I know there's many schools have had many parents come in because it's a pretty exciting time. Exciting, a little anxious, a little fearful, but it's a little exciting time for those parents. So we do have kindergarten for the 23rd, 24th. To begin kindergarten, children must be 5 years or older by August 31st. They need to have their certificate and immunization records are required at the time of registration. June 15th is our last day of school, and they will operate on their early release schedule. And then next year, school starts August 30th. And, you know, it'll come faster than what we know, but it's always exciting time. So what was the other? That's it for tonight. There were a few other little things, but it's more of a, so is there any questions, comments?
Well, thank you, Director Jacobs. Any questions or comments? Very thorough report. I just want to, Mr. Boki, yes.
Open Doors, you mentioned Friday, but I didn't hear time and where.
The Open Doors, okay, let me go back up. And there was one other thing I did want to share, so I'm almost glad that we had this opportunity. Open Doors is Friday at 3 p.m. The other thing I failed to mention, I don't want to take away from anything, but our awards, the senior awards nights, I didn't get the total amounts for Lakes High School. I know that Harrison Prep had a girl receive $1.2 million in offer for scholarships, pretty much go wherever she wants, which is a very exciting time. Clover Park High School had over $7 million of accepted scholarships, not awarded, but accepted. And I'm glad I have the opportunity to share this because many people, there were a few citizens this year who kind of felt like the rigor might not have been there. The kids may not have been doing what they should have, or it wasn't as tough. Well, let me tell you, every college in this state has one of our kids going to it. Colleges, foundations, service organizations do not give money, totaling over $7 million to just one school for kids who aren't deserving. So I'm very proud of what our students have done. And I'm grateful for a city that does support our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I just wanted to comment on part of that. I had the honor of presenting the Rotary scholarships at the lunch.
Mhm.
You know, there's plenty of work to go around to improve for all of us in all of our endeavors, whether it's the city, school district, whatever. But it's also a great opportunity to celebrate the many, many, many successes. And the students that we brought forth to receive the awarded scholarships each got a chance to stand up and spend 2 or 3 minutes talking to a room full of adults. And they were so poised and articulate and appreciative and principled and excited about their futures. It was a great, great day.
And I'm going to say you probably had the opportunity only to talk to a few of our students,
Right. It was
because
11 of
many,
them, yeah.
many of our students could be under the same description of what you laid. And there's some,
Sure.
you know, world's a little different than it was when I went to school, of course, but
Mhm.
kids are doing great things. Great things don't come to kids who aren't doing so. So I'm very, you know, thank you very much for that accolade toward them.
We all want to see more.
Well, and it's been,
Okay,
you know what, with the recognition that,
Mhm.
you know, these kids, the girl at Clover Park had a very interesting comment that was like, she referred to their 4 years of school as almost like an athletic event. First quarter was fine, but oh, they got stopped.
Mhm.
Second quarter, they weren't even there. The third quarter, they were there only a little bit. This was the first year they got to play the whole game. And I thought, of all the COVID analogies I've heard,
Right.
that was the first one that I thought spot on. These kids have gone through things that none of us could ever even imagine. And COVID's going to take a while. You know, the whole country's saying the secondary students are struggling. We are still continuing to do as much as we can to support them with mental health, with counseling help, with all that they need to be the best they can be. So, you know, between the city and the school, I know our kids are going to be okay.
Well, thank you again for coming
Thank you.
tonight. We appreciate it. Yep. Okay, we next turn to the public comment section of tonight's agenda. Public comments are accepted by mail, email, or by live, virtual, or in-person comment. Comments may be submitted in advance by mail or email to our city clerk, Brianna Schumacher, at 6000 Main Street Southwest here in Lakewood, or to her email address at bschumacher@cityoflakewood.us. Comments received up to an hour before the meeting have been provided to the council electronically. And to ensure we have a record, the clerk will now read the names of those who have submitted comments in advance.
We have no advance comments.
Very good. Members of the audience may comment on any item relating to matters pertaining to city business during this public comment period. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Virtual comments are also appropriate. If you'd like to provide live virtual public comments, you will need to join the Zoom meeting as an attendee by dialing the phone number on the screen, entering the meeting ID number as reflected, and using the *9 feature to raise your hand to be called upon. So at this time, I'm going to call on those persons who have signed in here in City Hall to address the council during the public comment period. And I have nobody on the sign-in sheet, but that doesn't preclude people from stepping up to the dais if they would like to address council during the public comment period, and please do so. Yes, thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hello, council members. Mayor Whalen. I'd like to comment and ask your intervention and action on several current environmental issues on behalf also of concerned community members who haven't come tonight. Recently, 36 trees were cut down at Fort Steilacoom Park for trail improvements. Almost 200 were cut down a few years ago. In light of this, the talk of expanding tree canopy and establishment of an urban forestry program ring hollow. Was the public asked whether they would like to have 36 trees destroyed for a new trail when next to the wooded area there was a grassy field? Many people I know are very upset, even more than very upset. This is cumulative impact. It's just going on all over the city, and it doesn't seem to be stopping even after the tree amendments. Destroyed were 6 cottonwoods, which are not such a big deal because they grow really fast, but there were also 7 madronas, which are quite special, a local tree, a native, 1 maple, I believe it was a big leaf maple, 2 oaks, they were small, but if you don't let the small ones grow, you're never going to have big ones. These small ones could have taken decades as well, and 20 large firs. Having heard this, an ecological restoration expert with half a century of experience told me, destroying the madrones are inexcusable, or rather, the madrones are inexcusable, super difficult to establish, impossible to move, will die if watered in summer, and the big Doug firs are only replaceable in 100 to 200 years. Tonight, I believe you will also be approving the payment of money to treat Wahop Lake again with alum. In the interest of being ecological responsible, I ask that you reject the alum treatment proposal. I know that you've already discussed it and everything, and not treat the lake at this time as a responsible thing to do. Were there bids from ecological restoration experts? I would like to request those. I'll try to do that tomorrow. The treatments in 2020 have essentially ruined the lake. Although the city says there are no alternatives, there are practical and less expensive ones. So I would like to have somebody contact me if they would like to have contact information of an ecological restoration expert who can actually advise on beneficial and inexpensive restoration program that involves neither toxic chemicals nor dredging. You will also be accepting the Clover Creek floodplain evaluation, alternative evaluation. I ask that you reject the levee plan and try to restore the flow to this creek before building levees. We're counting on you, the City Council, to be the ecological conscience and stewards for Lakewood. Please base yourselves on the best available science, not the most expedient solution to a toxic algae problem, for example. Treat the park as nature, not as a swimming pool. Thank you.
Swimming pool. Next.
Hello, my name is James Dunlop and I'm a resident of Lakewood. I talk to people in Lakewood about participation. I often suggest, why don't they come to the City Council and make a comment? Why don't they make a written comment? A Zoom comment, it's really easy to make comments, but very often people don't want to make comments. Sometimes it's because of laziness, and I don't want to use, people have got things to do. Sorry, that's the wrong word, laziness. They just have got other things to do. But quite often, I feel that people don't make comments or don't participate in local democracy here because they're afraid. I don't know what they're afraid of, but it's real. I have spent some time living in Eastern Europe, and there is a fear of participation perhaps relating to the communist heritage in Eastern Europe, something which Christina has talked about at length. It's as if something bad is going to happen. Maybe there are people in Lakewood who are involved, who work in municipalities, government jobs, even people getting pensions from government are somehow afraid that they might lose financially. And I think you need to be aware of that. And I think the city councillors need to be aware of your position as being a voice for those people who are, whether it's afraid, too busy, apathetic, lazy, whatever it is. And you need to engage in decision-making. When you are told something by city bureaucrats, I ask that you don't just take it at face value. For example, I mentioned the fact that the city bureaucrats have decided they wanted to have one hearing examiner over another. It seemed a trivial decision, but there was something going on there. But I don't want to go into details. I think you know the details. But there are other things like Warhop. When you're told something, or the library. We're talking about education. Why is Lakewood Clover Park School District one of the worst performing school districts in Washington State at a time when the city is not going to have a library for years, and because of Pierce County Library District and the way they've treated Lakewood. I've strongly suggested you consider de-annexing, but you haven't. But so what I would ask is that you don't just take things at face value, and that all of you make a greater effort to defend your city and its residents. Thank you.
That was the last individual. These two stepped up to the podium to address council during the public comment period. Anyone else in the audience? Yes, sir.
I'm Darren Lowry. I live in Tillicum in Lakewood. And I just wanted to thank the parks for, I actually know Mary a little bit and talked about some stuff was going on in the park, and she took care of it right away, like she always does. So thank you, Mary. The second thing is I wanted to thank the city for starting the Lakewood 311 app on my phone. just like a couple weeks ago, there's a car parked and it ended up being stolen. And I put it up on Lakewood 311 and it was recovered that same day. So thank you, whoever started that. It works great and I love living here. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yep. Any other individuals that I may have missed who wish to address council during the public comment period in the audience? Seeing none, we'll turn to those who may be appearing via Zoom. Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk's plural.
First, we have Dennis Haugen.
Very good, Mr. Haugen.
Dennis Haugen, formerly of Lakewood 3 years ago, now Sioux Falls. Well, I think I understand why people are getting scared if you're in certain areas of speaking out. Just like tonight was a propaganda thing, you recognize maybe less than 1% of the students. And yet, like the other gentleman mentioned, there are thousands more students. And all across the country, there's a political strategy, which is the one that you're using, where you recognize a small minority and you never have questions about how the school is doing in teaching math, reading, and even civics. I had a very interesting chance of sitting with a forum of 12 people who just recently come into South Dakota. 3 of them were from Washington. One was a DOC employee who got fired because he wouldn't take a COVID shot. And he was in his middle age, wasn't in that age where it was strongly recommended. And the other one was one of the thousands of residents in the CHOP zone. And of course, she was aware of how well our governor handled things. She called the appropriate and sufficient number of National Guard, put the situation out in about 3 hours, and it never happened again. But this lady lived in the CHOP zone like many, many others and was absolutely denied any form of protection from law enforcement. The governor, who in my opinion is one of the most incompetent, but that may be getting back to the school system. Maybe you can go all the way through, become a lawyer and become a governor, become a city mayor, become teachers, whatever, and be totally incompetent. So it's a very interesting situation. And I encourage this woman to write a book. And of course, you're heading for a situation where you may be looking for law enforcement because you refuse, you're a sanctuary state, you refuse to recognize the law, which it's illegal to come into the country illegally without being vetted. And those gangs are gathering and doing a lot of damage. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kim Underwood.
Hello, Mr. Whalen, council members, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the time this evening. Tonight, you're about to authorize the release of additional funding for further Clover Creek flood mitigation study. There are multiple reasons to postpone this important decision, one of which is anticipated release of the USGS groundwater study, and that will be released in September, and its relation to surface and groundwater both. There are many, many factors to be taken into consideration before allocating another dime of taxpayer money on a $33 million white elephant when Lakewood has a solution not only for Clover Creek's lack of water, retention, cleansing, and storage, as well as flooding right in front of you. Who are you going to trust? A national USGS study or a misinformed Public Works Department? Please postpone the release of further funding for any habitat study or ongoing study until the release of this important USGS study is released. Another issue that I'd like to bring up, I kind of feel like I'm spitting in the wind here. Mr. Whalen's been quoted as saying that he's heard about this topic in nauseam, but I'd like to talk about WAHOP. Saying that WAHOP has had 2 successful treatments in 2020 is simply not true. Practical alternatives from qualified individuals have been presented from toxicologists, biologists, chemists, as well as environmental organizations. So our community loves this lake, and we would like to have a successful restoration program in place, not one where we see our planning department out there with employees fishing dead fish out of the lake at 5 o'clock in the morning. We don't want a repeat of that. On a good note here, positive note, I'd like to thank our new council member, Laura Sella. Although I don't know you personally, I think I know your brother, for taking an interest in our water. It became evident during the one of our council members or council meetings that Councilman Laura Sella he's been calling around, inquiring about the relationship between surface and our groundwater, the importance of it. He knows where our fish ladders are at, where our public works department does not. It's a very, very important subject. Ongoing all over the United States right now, groundwater management acts are being deployed. A lot of cities are putting a stop to building for lack of water. And Lakewood Water's on board. They are all about retention, and you guys have the answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals who have joined us on Zoom to address council during the public comment session? Any others, Madam Clerk? I don't see any hands raised.
There are no other virtual hands raised at this time, Mayor.
Okay, very good. Then I'll declare the public comment period closed. Now turn to the consent agenda. And if you'll read through the consent agenda, Madam Clerk, there may be some items that a council member or two wish to remove, but please proceed with the consent agenda as presented.
Item A, approval of the minutes of the City Council meeting of May 15, 2023. Item B, approval of the minutes of the City Council study session of May 22, 2023. Item C, approval of claims vouchers in the amount of $3,663,084.82 for the period of April 20th, 2023 through May 15th, 2023. Item D, approval of payroll checks in the amount of $2,709,827.25 for the period of April 16, 2023 through May 15, 2023. Item E, motion number 2023-56, accepting a $5,000 sponsorship from the Amazon Summer at Night at the Pavilion program. Item F, motion number 2023-57, authorizing the award of a contract to Solitude Lake Management in the amount of $128,180 for the 2023 Wahop Lake Alum Treatment Project. Item G, motion number 2023-58, authorizing the execution of an agreement for the Opioid Abatement Council, OAC, formation for Pierce County. Item H, motion number 2023-59, authorizing the execution of interlocal agreements with the Department of Social and Health Services for Western State Hospital Community Partnerships and Police Protection. Item I, motion number 2023-60, accepting the Clover Creek Flooding Engineering Alternatives Evaluation and setting direction for next steps. Item J, motion number 2023-61, appointing Dean Burke to serve on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. And item K, items filed in the office of the city clerk. 1, Community Services Advisory Board meeting minutes of March 15, 2023, and 2, Planning Commission meeting minutes of May 3rd, 2023.
Very good. Is there any item on the consent agenda which any council member wishes to remove at this time? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented? It's been moved by Councilmember Laura Sella, seconded by Councilmember Boki, that we adopt the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? I just note for the audience that all of these items that come before the council during a previous study session where there was in-depth review and discussion of the items before they have come before the council during the consent agenda process, and any changes to the proposals as discussed in the study session have, in my opinion, been embodied in the motion now on the consent agenda. So there's no further discussion. All those in favor of adoption of the consent agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda has been adopted. We now turn to the regular agenda. And I see that there's no unfinished business or new business. Is that correct, Mr. Caulfield?
That's correct, Mayor.
We'll turn to reports by the city manager. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council. Just a few updates here. I don't know if I mentioned this to you last week. State Building Code Council voted in late May to delay the effective date of the 2021 building codes for another 120 days. They had been planned to go into effect on July 1st. Matter of fact, this body was expected to consider the ordinance this evening. However, that has now been pushed out to October 29th of this year. The reason being is because of some recent legal cases in some higher level courts, as well as we understand some pending litigation regarding some of the code proposals. One of the things that the council did direct their staff to do is to convene 2 technical advisory groups to take a look at perhaps modifying or adjusting some of the code updates as it relates to commercial and residential energy codes, which actually is something that the city of Lakewood and our building official and development services department has actually opposed, because it's going to result in significantly increased cost to housing among other things. So just wanted to brief the council on that again, the ordinance to implement the 2021 code at this point in time is not expected to come back before you until sometime in the October timeframe, though that could change because, again, with some of this litigation, it could get kicked out even further. So more to come on that. Also wanted to let you know that our municipal court judge, Lisa Mansfield, she's in the process of submitting a grant from the state's Administrative Office of Courts to secure some funding to kickstart a community court here in Lakewood, which would be on top of our Veterans Therapeutic Court that she has. So she's in the process of finalizing that application and scope of services, and we should know here in the next month or so whether or not the grant has been secured. And I think, as you all know, that's a key objective within one of your goals of area of public safety. So the judge is moving forward on that. Another big project that's coming up, and I saw Mary Dosworth in the back there a moment ago, is the turf field improvements at Fort Steilacoom Park. And so that work, the council awarded a contract just recently, which also includes the construction of essentially a baseball field for the Pierce County baseball team. And that work is expected to get underway after Summerfest, the latter part of July. And we would ask that you take a look at your calendar. We've tried to identify a couple of dates that could work for a groundbreaking event, which would involve, of course, all of you, the city, Pierce College. And then what we'd like to do is invite our state legislators from the 28th district, since they were instrumental in securing some funding on the city side of that project. And we're looking at one of 2 dates. And again, this is all tied into when the contractor is going to get going on the work. The first would be in advance, a couple of hours before your July 24th study session at 5 p.m. The other would be later on in the week on Thursday, the study session is July 24th. And then the second option would be a couple of days later on Thursday, July 27th, also at 5 p.m., which would be in advance of the Coffee with the Mayor event that Mayor Whalen will be hosting over at the Pavilion. That'll get underway at 6. So I would just ask that you take a look at your calendar, and if you could let me know myself and or the city clerk, let us know, and would like to try and get that ironed out here in the next week, so then we can extend invitations to our legislators from the 28th district, and Pierce College is already on boards with both of those dates.
Okay.
I'd also like to congratulate our deputy city manager and her finance team for once again being recognized and awarded the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Accounting for our 2021 annual financial report, as well as the annual popular report, which is a report that actually neither one of those reports were required to do. But again, it's a testament to the highest form of recognition that a local government can receive, and it puts us in a very, very small grouping of public entities that receive this award on an annual basis. And it's something that the city has received since Ms. Kraus actually joined the city in 2014. And again, is a continuation and reflection of the leadership of the financial direction that you have provided us. So just wanted to let you know that. And again, extend congratulations all around to Ms. Kraus and her fine team. Late last week, myself and Bill Adamson, our SSMCP program director, we met with JBLM Garrison Commander, his chief of staff, and actually a number of his staff to talk about the North Clear Zone. And if you recall, one of our key legislative priorities when we were back in DC visiting with our federal delegation in March was to, how do we figure out this process? Because the current process that the Army has in place does not fit our need. And that's not a negative reflection on the Army. It's just that we're in a very, very unique circumstance as it relates to the challenges that we have with the North Clear Zone. So we outlined, again, our conversation that we had with the delegation, which is the delegation is looking to take a delegation-wide approach to identifying solutions, which could result in new federal legislation to allow us to move forward with resolving the North Clear Zone issue, because it could be that the current system just doesn't work for us. What I want to report to you is that, and of course, JBLM has always been very, very supportive of us on this. And when they heard this, long story short, because I was like, do you want to be at the table? They were like, absolutely, we're all in. And that's actually great news to report to you on this, because quite frankly, they'd like to get it off their table because they recognize the leadership that the city of Lakewood is taking here to resolve this issue. And then, as a matter of fact, the chief of staff directed his team to begin identifying some ideas and solutions that could be ready for when the delegation does get their respective representatives together later this summer. They're just waiting for the Congress to finalize the budget and the NDAA and things along those lines. But that was great news to report, and I just wanted to share that with you. And again, I want to thank Colonel Lamb and his chief of staff, David Fulmer, for and all of his team over there for their cooperation here. So that was very, very good news there. And then as it relates to upcoming events, I know you just heard about the Youth Summit, which is on Saturday from beginning at 11 a.m. over at Clover Park Technical College, but also tomorrow at 2 p.m. from 2 to 7, our farmers market kicks off, and that will run every Tuesday through September 19th, and that's over at Fort Steilacoom Park. And then next week on Thursday, June 15th, the mayor will be hosting a mayor's coffee house, and we'll have a meet and greet for our new police chief. And again, that'll be down at the Fort Steilacoom Park Pavilion. So with that, Mayor, Council, that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Caulfield. Any questions of the city manager, Mr. Brandstetter?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yep. Mr. Caulfield, is regarding the construction codes and the consideration as to whether there'd be some modifications regarding the codes as related to energy requirements in new construction. And I know you said that they're part of the delay. They've got some folks looking at that. But is there a window and a process for the city to submit and lobby for any specific changes?
Sorry, so Councilmember Branstetter, the answer is yes. And so our building official will be engaged with the council on this once again.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'd be interested in knowing what we're thinking so that we can speak with one voice if the matter comes up at some point in time. And then if you could, at an appropriate time, perhaps work with the Judge Mansfield where the council might be able to hear about her vision for how a community court would serve Lakewood.
Any other questions? If not, we'll turn to council comments. Just want to confirm on the coffee house on the 15th. Our start time is it 7 or 6? 6 p.m. at the pavilion, correct? So just want to confirm I've got us down for PCRC that night. So Mr. Boki, you might have to take that if that's the night. Yep. It's on the 15th, so. Got it. Okay, Mr. Boki, why don't you lead us off with your comments for the week?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really enjoyed Saturday, Lemonade Day. So shout out to all the schools that participated and to the chamber for putting it on. And I think I need to send something to the chamber. You can see the improvement from last year to this year on Lemonade Day. So it was really very nice, very well done at the places we were able to stop at. And then dancing in the streets Saturday night was a wonderful way to start out the summer. So I enjoyed it very much. Thanks.
Very good. Councilmember Lauricella.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a few things today since it's been a couple of weeks since we've had the chance to all be together. First, I want to comment on public participation and encourage others to come in to our city council meetings and present during our public comment period, or if they're not comfortable in doing so, feeling free to reach out to any member of council individually, because we're here to help as well. On the subject of Wahop Lake and the Clover Creek floodplain, I personally put trust in our public employees and members of our city to be well educated in the decisions they're making. I also depend on the oversight of the Department of Ecology to provide us with the right direction to go. And that's what I based my vote tonight on. I want to make sure that's understood. Additionally, on the Clover Creek floodplain plan, as new information comes available in regards to that USGS study in October, we can always revisit our plans, right? I'm getting a nod from city manager. Yes. So they are available for us to revisit as needed. A couple activities around the Memorial Day holiday. I had the opportunity to go on a police ride along with our Lakewood PD officers, and it was an amazing experience. It's great to understand what they deal with on a day-to-day basis and what our public deals with on a day-to-day basis. We had, I was riding along for a total of over 11 hours, went to over 20 calls for service, including things like shoplifting, stolen cars, but also public drug use, domestic violence, runaway children, multiple reports of shots fired. It was
an active evening.
Quite an evening. I intentionally selected the Memorial Day holiday because I wanted to really have an active night, and it certainly was. What I really appreciated was that our officers always maintained a calm demeanor. We're always very respectful of the public when they interacted with them. We have a solid police family that holds themselves and each other accountable, and I really appreciate that. So specifically, I want to thank the officers I was able to ride with, Officer Casas and Officer Zuliger, their sergeants, Sergeant Markert and Fitzgerald, Detective Dyer, and even the folks down in the evidence room were able to give me a tour, which was really useful. So we have a great police force, and I am here to support them and our community as we go forward. On Memorial Day itself, I had the opportunity to go to the service on JBLM at the cemetery, which was a somber experience, but it made me very grateful for the dedication and sacrifice that our service members have given. Last piece, I want to congratulate our local graduates as we are approaching graduation day for them at our local high schools. And it was great to see the folks at Youth Council tonight. And I look forward to working with those who are coming back next year as we embark on a new path. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Brandstetter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, as Councilmember Lauricella pointed out, we've approved the third alum treatment in Wahab Lake. And, you know, this is just a culmination of something that 4 years ago, after a number of years of study about what to do and of looking at the problem through the lens of the toxic algae situation in the lake was a public health hazard. That, you know, the idea that a sequence of 3 alum treatments would then looked at for providing then a longer term resolution of that. We're seeing a lot of correspondence from folks that characterize the process as a failure, when in actuality, it has accomplished exactly what we set out to do. We've dealt with the matter of recurring blooms of toxic algae in that lake. And while there are some folks that want to put an ecology, environmental lens on the project, that and that how the lake has evolved in that regard. I recall when we first wanted to do that, there were folks who were extremely opposed to it because they said the lake will become choked with weeds. And now they're concerned that the opposite has happened, that there aren't weeds. I think, you know, we can look at lots of examples in nature of where natural environment fixes itself back to a new normal. And I think we can expect that to happen in Wahab Lake over time. It's not that different than after Mount St. Helens erupted. The prediction was there'll be decades and decades of barren landscape. And in fact, that nature has created it. It isn't the landscape that was there before, but it is a ecologically sound and imbalanced thing to do that. And I expect that will happen with Wahab Lake. I kind of look at not the concept of not doing the third is, I'm not a physician, but, sometimes I go and I get a prescription from a doctor that's dealing with things, and he says, here's a vial and it's got 12 capsules in it. Okay. And you need to take one a day for 12 days to be able to do that. And when I'm feel better after 6 days, I don't throw the other 6 away. I listen to that, and I continue on to take all 12 to make sure that I really get the intended effect to do that. And I think the alum treatment situation of going forward with the third one is very similar to that. What we want to do is just make sure that we get to the point that we get the long-term impact that we were led to expect. And that is in fact happening with respect to the toxic algae blooms to go on to do that. So I'm glad that we're moving forward with that, and we can deal with the environment and a lot of other issues around water and that going forward into the future with our current comprehensive plan and changes that we make to it. On Memorial Day, I did attend the ceremony that took place at Mountain View. We're fortunate that that's become an annual thing that the city of Lakewood and Mountain View host. What is a well thought out and appropriate recognition for Memorial Day of folks that are there. That I think there's lots of choices on Memorial Day, places to be able to go. I know the deputy mayor spoke at 2 different events to be able to go and do that. And we were able to go forward with that. I enjoyed the dancing in the streets as a first of the festivals at the Colonial Plaza. That I think it's it was the weather was great, and the early part of the event had a good mix of people, and that as it got to then to be 6:30 towards 8 o'clock. There were still a lot of people there, but the crowd got younger, and that was fine. And I think that the staff did a really good job of putting that on, and they did a really good job of staying positive and interacting with the folks that are there in the public as it got to be a long afternoon for them to be able to go and do that. So the other thing on the agenda today was we approved the draft of the interlocal agreement for the opioid group. But I noticed that, that in that, then we will have a decision to make about a Lakewood representative on that council. That looks like it's going to meet once or perhaps twice a year going forward. But I think we should give serious consideration to having it be someone from the council that meets with that. The agreement says it can be a community member, a staff person, or an elected person to do that. But I think at least as we start off, we should start off by having someone from the dais here be the person that starts off when we get to whenever that group is going to start to meet. It's got 12 jurisdictions that got to vote and sign off on it. It'll go into it. But anyway, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Just a few items. I attended the Community and Schools of Lakewood breakfast on the 31st. It was a well-attended event. Many of us were there, and it highlighted the community partnership between certainly the city of Lakewood and our youth and organizations that serve students in the Clover Park School District. So it was a good event. I was invited by the Lieutenant Governor Denny Heck to participate in a civic health project roundtable discussion on civility, whether we sense a breakdown in civility over the last few years or not, and if so, what are some contemplative solutions by a really interesting, very diverse group of city leaders, and well, not just city, but community leaders, including city folk. And so very well done. He's doing 5 listening sessions or table talk conversations like that around the state. And then they're putting together a report and coming back with some potential solutions. But the case for civility is alive and well, thankfully. And I really appreciated being part of that. So more to follow. I did attend the Saturday event, the Dance in the Street thing. That was fantastic. You know, again, kudos to our Parks Department for putting that on. It was really, really good event. The opioid abatement council formation, I was pleased to see that finally come to fruition. We'll get to decide, you know, kind of what we want to do, hopefully as part of that. I am hopeful, as we all know from our work on the drug possession and use laws, that once the state gets in play with the new legislation that was passed, that we'll see some change in society. I attended a funeral on Saturday for a friend of my daughter's, 27-year-old kid, Charles Wright graduate, PLU graduate, somehow got a hold of an Adderall pill that was laced with fentanyl and died. He was engaged to be married in November. He was an incredible young man, but I tell you, the scourge of drugs on the street, including this illegal junk that fentanyl is lacing, is just a real problem in our community. So I'm hopeful that we can use these monies for education purposes or otherwise, because it affects every family, regardless of economic status or culture or background. It is a problem. On the consent agenda, I just want to echo the comments by some on the Waugup Lake treatment. I voted to approve it as well. I think this is, as the council members Brandstetter and Laura Sella indicated, an option that is probably the best option available for us. It is on the heels of other treatment, and like a prescription, needs to be fulfilled and done to a complete manner. There are examples of other lakes in the materials tonight, including Wapato and Green Lake in Seattle and other lakes around the country that have been treated with alum successfully over the years by this company as well. These decisions are certainly not made in a vacuum. The Department of Ecology is a permitting authority. If they thought that this was deleterious to the environment, I'm hopeful as a non-scientist that we can believe in the veracity of what ecology is doing by granting permits for these appropriate treatments. And so I am hopeful that it's going to reduce the incidence of the toxic algae in the lake. And it begs the question, when people talk with great passion about Wapato, the question in my mind is, to what state do you think or want or believe we have the financing to bring that lake? It's never going to be an active recreational body of water. That's why we're spending millions of dollars on American Lake and Steilacoom Lake and these other bodies of water that actually have good access for good recreational purposes. Waugup Lake is never going to be a swimming lake. If you want to take a kayak out there, go for it. You want to take a canoe, go for it. If you want to fish, I tell you to go to other lakes. But it is a lake that is beautiful to walk around. I do see waterfowl because I run that park every Saturday. And I think reducing and or eliminating the incidence of toxic algae blooms is the best course of action we can take. So I'm fine with my decision. I look forward to the Youth Summit, the Pierce College groundbreaking. Again, let's give the city manager a head nod on either the 24th or the 27th of July. I can do either that week. So maybe circulate around with the council and see what works. But 24th is a Monday, I believe, and the 27th is a Thursday, I think. So take a look at that and let's make that a great event, because that's going to be another good community asset. Speaking of the park, you know, I was out there again. I do my little run thing on Saturdays, and you know, construction is always a challenge, and the entrance is going to be challenging. So I hope that the farmers market goes off well. Getting to it might be a bit challenging. So let's hope for the best and enjoy it and participate. Thanks again for your attention and your participation tonight. We're adjourned.